Good evening, welcome to Public Forum. The brutal incident that shook the very roots of humanity after a 23-year-old was gang raped in a private bus has stirred uproar. Thousands of protesters gathered at India Gate today to demand justice. From Parliament to the streets of the country, the entire nation is demanding justice for the rape victim who is battling for her life in the hospital. Hundreds of people continue to join the protests at India Gate as well as Rashtrapati Bhavan even after the police used tear gas shells. The doctors have been constantly monitoring her condition. However, the girl continues to remain critical with her intestines ruptured and her liver not working. The doctors are trying their best to save her life. On the other hand, with the 6th accused arrested, the nation is demanding a death penalty for the perpetrators. Tonight on Public Forum, we are asking, can we make safety for women a concrete reality? What needs to be done to curb crimes against women? And joining me on the panel today, very esteemed guest, with me is retired IPS officer Shankar Sen. Thank you very much, Mr. Sen, for joining us in this program. Also with me is former IPS and former Governor Ved Marwa. Thank you very much, Mr. Marwa, for joining us in this program. With me is the retired Secretary of Women and Child Welfare Ministry, Reva Nair. Thank you very much, Ms. Nair, for joining us in this program. And with me, the Director of Jagori, Sunita Dhar. Thank you very much, Ms. Dhar, for joining us in this program. And getting straight into the discussion now, my first question to you, Mr. Sen. What we are witnessing right now is outpouring of anger, sorrow, outrage all across. We are seeing what's happening in Raisina Hill, outside Parliament House, at India Gate. What does it say? Crime against women, has it now become a mass movement?
See, we have to first admit, yes, crimes against women are exponentially increasing all over the country. And Delhi, of course, it is far more pronounced, but this is a problem. And this anger also is fully justified. No.
And at the India Gate was much needed to, let people come together and raise this issue. This has been happening for long, but no one was speaking against it.
That is true. It was absolutely necessary to make it clear that this cannot be sustained, this cannot be tolerated any further. But and
we'll come to that also, the solutions, the kind of solutions we need at this stage. But as Mr. Sen is mentioning about knee-jerk reactions, do you feel we also witnessed what happened in the Parliament and Lok Sabha members cutting across party lines spoke on this issue? But the kind of demands they made, especially about death penalty, and also what we are seeing right now, people at India Gate asking for the kind of punishment should be given to the accused. Do you feel that what we need at this stage is a clear-cut mechanism, something that goes a long way rather than having these kind of knee-jerk reactions?
No, while one agrees that with Mr. Sen that the outpouring of this anger and sorrow is fully justified. But again, I think one sees not only knee-jerk reaction, but an effort to divert attention from the basic issues. We should ask ourselves the question, why such a heinous crime could take place in the capital? And at a time when 9:30 is not all that late.
We heard them in the Lok Sabha also when they said that the accused should be given a death penalty, and we must come with strong laws. But the question here is how far these solutions will go. And also, let's not forget, Association for Democratic Reforms has come out with a report saying that more than 30 legislators have cases against them. They are themselves rape accused. So how far their demand, it looks like it is indeed a complete case of hypocrisy when you see demands coming in from their side. My question to you, Ms. Reva Nair, there's no fear of law. What do we do with that?
Well, to begin with, let me say that the outpouring of grief and the concern is very natural and very genuine, and I'm glad it's there, and we should not let it die down even in the media. We should make a sustained effort to continue this awareness. But I agree with you, why are we having these kind of crimes in the heart of the city, on the streets of the city at very reasonable hours? This is because there is no fear of law. The organization of the police that is in charge of law and order has actually just receded. They have stopped doing the duty which they are supposed to do to make the streets safe, to make all public spaces safe, to do their patrolling duty diligently. If the thanas in charge of those areas where these streets are have real pride in their work, They will make sure the streets are free of criminal elements.
When you go and report a case, I'll come to that also, that it's time also for us to sensitize them, and also why policemen, why the way, what's the problem, when they don't deal with them in the right way.
Just do their work, just do their job. Police presence like it's done in any city. You see the police, the cop, and you are worried and afraid, and you do the right thing. So these gundas also, if they see the patrol vans, if they see the police...
Take Mr. Sen's opinion on this, but before that I'll come to Ms. Dhar. Ms. Dhar, your comments on this, you've heard three people, we're seeing what's happening and the way people are responding. Do you think now's the time when the government should take strict action? In this particular case, we have seen the city administration has completely failed its people.
I agree with what is being said, but at the outset I also want to...
Should respond to cases like these and many more. Stay tuned. Mr. Sen, you just heard Ms. Dhar also about the way policemen respond to situations. Do you think that it's also time for us to sensitize them and tell them that what needs to be done, the way they deal with rape victims?
Absolutely. Policemen have to be sensitized. Large number of cases are not registered and complaints are not entertained. And we have also
to introspect, and the way they deal with these victims, cross-examination, the procedures, they're equally brutal. But you have been in the services yourself. Why is it that, do you think for a policeman, a common man or a common woman is high on his... He said that he's never there when it comes to, providing services to a person who needs him the most.
see response of the police in many cases, but I also must admit that many cases they have been able to do good work by responding quickly. But
I have a report of the Tehelka. In fact, Tehelka conducted an investigation, in a 2-week-long investigation, to try to expose the deep prejudices prevalent in the police, where the comments like, the girl would have invited trouble, and the kind of clothes she was wearing, why was she out at night, and also why didn't she have company, and if she was going out, these kind of responses, what does it say about, about the police services?
I'm all for sensitization and training. But it's important to understand that mere preaching is not going to change the attitude of the policeman. In this country, we rely too much on preaching, too much on the so-called training and sensitization.
Police reforms, or for some or the other reason things have not really gone in that direction.
Something immediately has to be done.
And also, as you said, functional autonomy. But the question which all of us also might be raising is that why are we not investing in our constables who are doing those ground duties? Is the government investing in the constables?
80% of the police budget, 80% of the police budget approximately.
I now have my colleague with me, Charu Kartike. Charu Kartike is at India Gate. Charu, you're there. What's the scene like, if you can give us a brief?
Well, Natasha, even as I'm speaking to you, there is a fresh crowd coming in from towards India Gate, from India Gate towards Vijay Chowk. Since afternoon, since morning today, people had assembled at Raisina Hill, just at the foot of Raisina Hill, and that's where police had put up their barricades. And people were protesting. This is a spontaneous crowd which has assembled here. It is not led by any political party, not led by any activist, not led by any NGO. This seems to be a spontaneous crowd. And the police action, which we saw on our television screens in the daytime, when police first used water cannons, then tear gas shells were fired, and then even lathi probably. When people sitting in their homes or at their workplaces, when they saw those visuals on television, they started coming in. Probably they might have felt that they too need to join this crowd. So since about 4 or 5 o'clock,
so you're saying that the groups the groups are self-mobilized. They're not mobilized by any political party or any other NGOs. But my question to you also is that what are they asking for at this stage? What are they asking for?
Principally, Natasha, the demand is for a stricter law against rape, to deter rape. And if we go by the popular slogans which are being raised in different crowds which have formed at different places, right from Raisina Hill towards India Gate, it is about bringing the death penalty for rapists. Right now, a couple of speeches were also being made just at Vijay Chowk, where people were demanding that a special session of Parliament be called right now. and a stricter law be enhanced. A death penalty should be announced for rapists.
Okay, thank you very much, Charu. So stricter law for the accused, death penalty. This is what they are asking for. Your comments, Ms. Nair.
Well, I think all the work, legislative work for reforming and amending the bill has already been done. It's been in the works for many, many years now. For about 15 or 20 years, we have been urging that the rape laws should be amended. They're not seriously being dealt with, and they must be changed. So that's a genuine thing. But more than that, I must tell you, FIRs must be registered. When there is a complaint, not the kind of incident which took place recently, but there are rapes every day in homes, in jhugis, in areas, and it is done in the privacy of homes also, rape. These should be registered, but not file FIRs. What is going to happen? You're not going to get a clear picture.
Right, but this feeling also of the low conviction rate, just 19%, this also makes people feel that why do we get ourselves entangled in a legal trouble? Because ultimately the victim, the kind of harassment which the victim goes through, you know, if she undergoes this kind of a procedure, she all the more feels harassed. So that's the first logic that comes in, that let's not get into the legal trouble.
Natasha, the main thing is, if you don't register, you delay the registration, then you delay the investigation. You're not going to have the evidence to convict everybody in the end. So it has to be quick FIR, quick investigation, and quick disposal at the court. That's the only way to get a conviction. You're not going to get a conviction if you delay it, because everything, the evidence will going to vanish. The witnesses are going to go away.
Right.
So this is important.
Right. Ms. Nair, do you also feel that it's also important for the legal system to introspect the way they deal with these cases?
Definitely. I just want to make a point in continuation of what we are talking about, the police. Jaguri did a study with UN Women and Delhi government. Advocates are talking about it, but it needs to be taken very, very seriously.
We heard the leader of the opposition, Sushma Swaraj, asking for a special session to enact legislations. I now have a caller with me from Gujarat. Yes, sir, please ask your question.
गुजरात काबरकाटा सातंबा से परेश पंचाल बोल रहा हूँ. क्राइम अगेंस्ट वीमेन मैंने देखा है कि फिल्मों के अंदर जो दृश्य फिल्माया जाता है, जिसमें जो औरतों को इस प्रकार से दिखाया जाता है, उनके ऊपर दृश्य फिल्माया जाता है, उसके कारण लोगों के अंदर क्राइम की मानसिकता बनती है, ये भी मुझे लगता है. क्या ऐसी क्राइम, हिंसा, असभ्यता या तो जो खराब दृश्य, मैं कह भी नहीं सकता, खराब दृश्य दिखाते हैं, खराब स्टोरीज बनाते हैं, ऐसी फिल्मों पर भी क्या लगाम की जरूरत नहीं है?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Panchal. Ms. Dhar, you'd like to respond. Portrayal of women in cinema.
No, certainly. I think one of the very important points that we have to underscore in media and everywhere else is the notion of commodification of women. We cannot portray women as sex objects, demean them. We have to consider them as equals who can assert their agency, their voice, their sexuality, their right to their bodily integrity. And I think we have to shift the discourse. We have to talk about equality. We have to not talk about the fact that we have to curb women's mobility, tell the girls come home by 6 o'clock, dress this way. It's not about that. We have to shift the discourse to that equality,
don't go out
of
after
tolerance.
7, or wear the kind of dress code. Don't have mobile phones. It's now time for me to take a short break. Next when we come back, we'll also raise other questions of our panelists and also ask them what more needs to be done apart from the legal system. Also, is it time for the kind of upbringing we are giving to our kids, and also the moral values which we are instilling. Welcome back. You're watching Public Forum. In this edition of Public Forum, we are discussing the crimes against women and what needs to be done. Join us live on our program. Call us on our toll-free number 1-800-115313. Coming back to you, Mr. Sen, why women are being repeatedly attacked? This is one question which is coming up again and again. Does it also have the tacit approval of the society?
I don't think so. It has a tacit approval of the society in a sense that, yes, in our patriarchal society, violence against women. In fact, large number of women do not report. Absolutely correct. That is I was suggesting to her, that have the victim way in Western countries, because police statistics are unreliable. But powers that be will not agree, because it is these statistics on the basis of which the maintenance of law and order all over the country is judged. So I know whatever is seen in Orissa when I was DIG. effort was to see Odisha statistics do not suffer in comparison with Bengal and Bihar. So, because this has to be justified in the assembly. The same is the story elsewhere. So don't think that, yes, police should register the cases, but there are also other factors inhibiting them to do so. So victim survey is called for, and actually some of the NGOs should take it up in a big way. We did it in a very small way in NCR region, and the revelations were alarming, absolutely alarming. How the victims get the response from the criminal justice functionaries, how they are treated in the court of law, what kind of behavior they get from the police, and how the cases are not registered. So these things have to be done, and I personally say just to harangue the police, register more.
Registered, and also a victim must go and register, get the case registered. But Mr. Marva, do you also feel when we raise this question of why women are being repeatedly attacked, is also something, it has to do with the assertion, the independence of women? Men are actually being intolerant about women making their own spaces.
That is one, but I think the primary reason is that in our society, the weakest section of the society are easy game, and women are physically weak, children are physically weak, and then you have economically and socially weaker person, where the government has taken a aggressive role to defend them, like in case of Dalit. Violence against Dalit has come.
Kata, yes sir, please ask your question.
Yes, firstly, those perpetrators should be hanged, must be hanged today itself, and not only that, the government should form a special task force for the children and for the women also, because in our India, crime for women are increasing day by day. Why the government is failed to take action against those nonsense people?
That is the anguish against the government.
No rate of conviction.
No rate of conviction, and also that death penalty, the accused must be hanged. Now that's one demand. We've also been looking at the solutions. Chemical castration has been one solution. Also, if the accused should be hanged. What life imprisonment is already there. But your suggestions, Ms. Nair?
I would like to say that it will be all for Parliament to consider. It should make the sentence more grave. Certainly, what it is at present is not enough, 7 years. We must have a longer sentence, and perhaps life imprisonment at the very bare minimum in such heinous cases where the rape is so hurtful and almost amounts to death. She could easily have died, and she may still pass away. I mean, we do not know. Therefore, we need to make it more stringent. However, I want to stress another very important point. In such cases of crimes against women, women report the case. They get poor publicity, and they get exposed to a lot of questioning in the courts and by the police at the Thana. The person who's responsible for it is never fully exposed. He's always sort of shielded there with expensive lawyers and people.
Issue, your comments, Ms. Dhar, and also what needs to be done about changing mindset and the way society is responding. As I was asking Mr. Marva earlier, it has something to do also with the way women today are being assertive about their rights, about their independence.
Yeah. I also want to just add to the ongoing thread of discussion
Of the system, because there will be people who say that even if we go and register our cases keeps hanging for 10 to 15 years. It in fact becomes it becomes a very harrowing experience for the victim in this particular case. But the question is, what about changing mindset? That's one issue we'll take up on the other side of this break in our last segment. Stay tuned. Women, what needs to be done? This particular story should not fade away from public memory. Time to introspect. Final comments. I'll start with you, Mr. Sen. What all things we need at this stage? We know what's happening, different corners of Delhi, and the kind of demand that is coming in at this stage. What suggestions you would like to give?
I would summarize like this. Number one, police have to be sensitized. Number two, speedy investigation. And number three, quick trial and realistic and adequate punishment of the criminals. And number four, that gender sensitization, not only of the law enforcement personnel, but of the members of the public, to develop respect for women, treat them with dignity they deserve, and particularly I can say this is a phenomenon in North India. It's not so pronounced in other parts of the country. Not that things are much better.
So a lot has to be done with education also, educate people.
Yes, educate the people and see that without respect for women, society's progress is difficult. The hand that rocks the child rules the world. That is the point. That respect for women we have to cultivate, not only in the family, but also through our educational curriculum and system.
It is rather very unfortunate, something that should come naturally. We have to cultivate today about respect for women, who is a natural creator. I have a caller with me now from Kolkata. Yes, sir, please ask your question. Mr. Singh, if you can hear me, please ask your question. Okay, we'll come back to this call. Say, Mr. Marwa, about witness protection, because that's one fear, because the witness is never protected. That's one reason that people never go and speak to the policeman on this issue. This agenda, a Z-class security for VIPs. Now, that's rather very unfortunate, because they don't go to public places, they don't travel in public transport. Would you say that it is also time for the government to view it from the side that what kind of security system we need at this stage?
You know, we can spare a lot of resources of the police if we delink security, so-called VIP security, from status and protocol. Security should be given only to those people whose security is genuinely threatened, and after making an assessment by experts. But what's happening today? Every member of parliament is given security. Every government official who is senior enough, even if you see in Lodi Gardens, they come with all sorts of things. And I, as a person who has done a lot of work on security side, can say without any hesitation that almost 90% of those people who are carrying security today,
they don't need it.
Don't need it. So this
Comments on, considering the fact that you've also served as the Secretary of Women and Child Welfare Ministry, what would your suggestion be to primary caregivers, to mothers who are bringing up their kids? What suggestions you like to?
I would like to tell them that they must bring up their children with great deal of sensitivity, whether it's a boy or a girl, to respect women, to respect the elder women in the house, to respect neighbors and friends, to respect their teachers, to respect all of womanhood. Because after all, we are the caregivers, we look after them, we have to be very sensitive to see that our children do not suffer abuse, whether in school or in the neighborhood or within the family.
Right.
This is very important.
Right. Final comments from you, Abhisthar.
I would like to start with the premise that we shouldn't look at this as an issue of protecting women and girls. I think it's an issue where we have to say equality is a non-negotiable value in our society, and therefore as we work towards building newer consciousness, both with women, girls, and other sections of society, we must make sure that we are not discriminating, we're not violating anybody's rights and their access to, safety and bodily integrity. That's point number one. Point number two is that the study that we undertook, Jaguri with Delhi government and UN Women, interestingly, it showed that 68% of people on the streets witness everyday harassment, sexual harassment of women and girls, but do not intervene because there is fear of what to do. Yes. If we can tap on this 60% population, which consists of young men, which consists of ordinary working class people on the streets, the hawkers, the bus driver, etc., we would make a difference. And therefore, educational interventions are a very, very important part of this. We have started with Delhi government. We're working on community initiatives. We're working towards prevention, raising consciousness, trying to build multi-sectoral communities and voices, which is called Awaaz Uthao. But much, much more needs to be done. And most of all, Recently, a study was undertaken, ma'am and sir,
Yeah.
with on
Important is change in the mindset, the way we treat women, the way we treat women in our families, also in our professional places. Completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us in this program. It was a pleasure having you, Mr. Sen, on our program. Also, Mr. Marwa, Ms. Nair, and Ms. Dhar. Thank you so much for joining us. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Public Forum. Thank you so much for watching. Namaskar.